It's unlikely any of the law codes we find in the first 5 books of Moses were ever enforced in ancient Israel. Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and I need to start off this video by saying, what up, party people? Now, we got a bunch of law codes in the Pentateuch, in Exodus and Leviticus, in other books from the first 5 books of Moses, and it would be physically impossible to enforce all of them because many of their laws directly contradict many of the other laws. We don't see an attempt in the archaeological or the literary record to actually enforce these laws until we get to the rise of the Hasmonean state in the middle of the 2nd century BCE. And immediately we see issues with trying to enforce it, and we see the development of the oral Torah and rabbinic literature that is trying to harmonize and reconcile and fill in the gaps of this legislation. But that's okay because these law codes were not written to be enforced. They were written as prestige legislation for display. They were written as literary and scribal exercises. They were written to structure power and values and boundaries among the elite of society. They were not written to actually function as guidance for the courts in ancient Israel. And this is exactly how the nations around ancient Israel functioned as well. We have display legislation like the laws of Hammurabi and Eshnunna and Lipit Ishtar and the Middle Assyrian laws and Hittite laws and others that conflict with the actual court rulings that we also sometimes find in the texts that have been preserved. And that's because the legislation was not written to be enforced. It was written to show how ordered and just and righteous the rulers were, and to structure power and values and boundaries in their favor. And that's exactly what we have going on in Exodus and Leviticus and Deuteronomy. So we can't use this legislation to reconstruct what day-to-day life would have been like for ancient Israelites. We don't really have enough data to do that very accurately. It's certainly plausible and even probable that many of the laws within these different pieces of legislation overlapped with and directly aligned with actual ancient Israelite jurisprudence. But the law codes as a whole, it's unlikely that any of them were ever widely known, much less enforced in ancient Israel.